Hi, my name is Kaylee McDonough. I'm a fourth grade teacher in Massachusetts, and today I'll be reviewing the educational tool Diffit. Diffit is an AI platform that is designed to create differentiated materials. So, with the use of a simple prompt, it can generate anything from worksheets, lesson plans, slides, exit tickets, and more. It can be accessed at this link or web.diffit.me. And before I show you how to log in and some examples of different outputs, I want to go over some strengths and limitations of this platform quickly. The most important strength and what makes Diffit different than other AI platforms such as ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, and more is that it has a pedagogical design. So Diffit was developed with teachers, lesson plans, and students in mind in the ways that students learn best and the supports that they need. An example of this is right here. On the left is a Diffit generated worksheet, and on the right is a ChatGPT worksheet, both generated with the same prompt. However, you can notice Diffit includes a reminder for students at the top, a visual model, and it breaks the problem down into steps. Whereas ChatGPT includes a really strong problem and some directions to use a visual model, but it doesn't innately provide that for students. Here's another example. Once again, Diffit is on the left, and this time Gemini's output is on the right. Same prompt. However, Diffit creates a student-ready worksheet for the lesson with an answer key, whereas Gemini creates a fabulous outline. However, the student-ready worksheet is not there, an answer key is not there, and a teacher would either need to provide an additional prompt or create that on their own with this outline. So not only is this rooted in pedagogy, but it is also time saving for teachers. These materials are ready to print when they are generated. You don't need to ask Diffit to turn it into a PDF or a different format. You can print them or save them as a PDF right from the platform. Diffit also does not store student data. You can include a student-specific goal in a prompt. You can include student assessment results in order to generate activities or practice to help students get to proficiency, and Diffit will not store any of this information. Another strength is that Diffit can generate reading passages at different languages and levels. These passages are rooted in real stories, so previously published books and articles. If you upload an article, Diffit will use that article instead of changing it and generating its own. And it also takes into account the needs of students with different backgrounds, including EL students. It can provide some really powerful and important support for students of that population. Diffit is also not student facing, so you do not need to worry about students interacting with this form of AI technology and the protections that they may need at different grade levels. This is only for teachers. With strengths, there are also important limiting factors to keep in mind when you are using this platform. All of these are fabulous reasons to use Diffit. However, you should also be aware of some limitations. These include a premium and a basic subscription. All teachers can have access to the basic subscription. However, there are certain perks to premium, which for individual teachers is $150 a year, and schools and districts can contact Diffit for a price quote. This premium includes the ability to export to a Google Suite. So, a worksheet that it creates, you could transform into or export to a Google Doc instead of just printing it or downloading as a PDF in the basic version. You can also align to standards and NTSS tiers within Diffit and the specific prompts that it will give you after you generate a prompt. Um, you can certainly type the standards in your initial prompt. However, Diffit won't kind of immediately adjust their worksheets, presentations, whatever the output is, with those standards and tiers in mind, unless you do have that premium subscription. Secondly, and most importantly, in my opinion, is that content becomes inaccessible after 90 days. So within 90 days, you can return again at the basic level to whatever it was that you generated. You can edit this content, you can print it again, you can provide Diffit with additional prompts in order to make it better. However, after 90 days, that content is gone. This is an available resource. Your content can be there forever if you do pay for that premium subscription or your district subscribes to it. Like any AI platform, it is also really important to have specific prompts with Diffit. Diffit does kind of come back with more questions for you immediately and forces you to answer those questions before generating output, unlike other AI platforms. However, it's really important to consider this is still AI. It's still incredibly important to provide a specific prompt and analyze output. Is it true? Is it factual? Is this best teaching practice? And lastly, it can certainly be a benefit, but it can also be a limitation. Diffit is not student facing. So this is not a platform that students can really interact with and gain some technology practice with AI. I think it could certainly be used for students at the secondary or post-secondary level if they are designing lessons and thinking about, okay, maybe they have to create a worksheet or a test using AI to do that. But most commonly, this is a teacher-only platform. So good and bad, that is not for students. Here are some examples and what Diffit looks like. When you first go to the link, this is kind of the home page. You can certainly browse Diffit's blog and see some new features, success stories, and kind of resources that they have. But in order to get started, you will just click Try Diffit here at the top. And then it will ask you, do you want to sign in with Google, your email, your choice? And after you choose that, you're provided with some additional prompts. You can select your role, grades that you're teaching the year. You can select more than one, making this a great tool for specialists or differentiation teachers. You can select the classes that you teach if it has a very wide range of subjects and classes, making it a great tool for all grade levels and all subjects. And you can include your school name. Then you are given kind of this home page. You can create new resources and generate a prompt here. And this My Resources folder will have, if you're in the basic subscription, everything you've generated in the past 90 days, or if you subscribe, all of your resources that are there. And here you will type a prompt. I started by typing generate materials for fourth grade reading stations. This is not a strong prompt for AI. However, I wanted to show you some of the strengths and what Diffit really can do. After you type your prompt, Diffit comes back and asks you questions. So after I asked for reading stations, Diffit wanted to know more. Well, what exactly is the focus of these stations? And you can choose these different choices, or you can type something else, another strength. You can skip these, but I find that they do make the output more refined and stronger for students of all different needs. More questions, it asks about rotation. All of these are really strong pedagogical ties and shows why Diffit is different. With that fourth grade prompt, it generated 4 different station activities for students with passages, group discussion tasks, independent tasks, and all of these stations correspond with a student tracker, which is a worksheet for students. I could go right ahead and print this worksheet or export it as a PDF immediately or to these other sources if I pay for premium, or I could edit it. So maybe I want there to be an example for students here. I can go right in the worksheet and type an example and then print it with this in mind. I could also ask Diffit to refine it and include an example on the worksheet. But the fact that you can edit right within the platform is really important. You can also use Diffit with a connection to standards and type a Common Core standard into the prompt, or if you pay for premium, you can include this standard through Diffit. And then I wanted to show one last example. This is a slides presentation. I asked Diffit, again, this is a very simple prompt, however, slightly more specific than the last, to generate slides for an introductory lesson about fractions in an engaging way for elementary students. It includes the slides, It has speaker notes. So what a teacher could say, once again, rooted in pedagogy, visual examples for students. Again, everything is editable. And then it provides some really great examples. So ways that students can get engaged and connect with this content where they can see it in their everyday lives. It has all components of a successful lesson. Besides examples, it includes student checks for understanding, activities, turn and talks. And right here, you can see this sentence stem. When I initially generated this, Diffit asked if there were any certain populations of students that I wanted to keep in mind, and I did include EL students. So these sentence stems are great for EL students and students of all varying needs. However, it includes this with students in mind. Again, a very important teaching tool. In the classroom, Diffit is used during teacher prep time to create resources. Once again, this is not a platform that students would see, but a teacher can use it during prep time and then print the resources right away for student use in the classroom. These are some examples of resources. Your options are pretty much endless. Anything on paper that you want students to work on, you can generate with Diffit. It can be used in all grade levels, all subjects, as shown through the login process. And it has really great strengths of generating based on a certain standard or content objective, but you're able to tailor it to students' needs. So I asked if it to include um, some student examples in terms of food and sports for the fraction slides, but in an older grade level, maybe you want to include different examples. You can tailor that to student needs with Diffit. Therefore, that makes this platform incredibly strong for student engagement. Materials can be appropriate for students at different levels, whether that is at grade levels, different educational levels, different needs. All of these are attainable and accessible with Diffit. It should not be used as a main source of instruction. However, it is a great tool for supplementing curriculum when needed, especially to kind of hit student zone of proximal development when the curriculum might not be able to do that because of student interests, because of EL support, or students with different accommodations. So as a whole, I would absolutely recommend Diffit. You can use it to create appropriate, ready-to-use, differentiated material for students. And because it is not student facing, there aren't student safety concerns. Diffit works really hard to make sure student data is protected and not stored, and students will not be using this resource. So while it is safe for students, it is also an excellent way to help streamline the teacher work process and make materials that are engaging and ready to use for students at all levels. I am very excited to try out Diffit in my classroom this upcoming school year.